everyone! We're doing a Kickstarter right now. It is for our comic The Magpie, which is a horror romance comic about a lesbian love triangle with an elder god. So if that's something that would interest you, there's a link in the description down below. Please go check it out. It ends in early June, so get on it and support it if you want a cool book. I'm so good at pitching stuff. Okay, thank you so much. On to the video. Hello everyone. Again, maybe Bones cut that out. Today I wanted to try painting for the first time in forever, because I've noticed on these Let's Draws, I've done a lot of like drawing and line work and kind of learning how to draw different animals, but I need to learn how to paint these animals for the comic I'm doing, because it's like a full color comic. It's a lineless style, and I want to be able to like paint stuff, because I personally do not have a lot of practice with painting stuff, especially like studies or anything, especially not animals. Like in the past, whenever I've done paintings, it's usually been like really stylized paintings or like studies of humans. So yeah, I really need to get into drawing more animals and painting them and figuring out like how the heck fur works, because I still have trouble wrapping my head around it, at least painting wise. So yeah, so that's what I'm here to do today, is to just paint a cute little raccoon. Okay, let me start by saying I kind of don't know what I'm doing with this. Like I know I know the basic advice for painting, like put down your values and stuff first and like kind of work big and then get down to the small details like as you go along. So like I understand that basic principle. Like those are pretty like universal to all art, but I'm still kind of learning like how the heck do you paint? So if I do something that's really dumb, I'm so sorry. Please bear with me and please tell me the correct way to do things, because I would love to know. But yeah, so I basically started with just putting down like the major colors that I was seeing. I'll be real with this painting, and what I think I do a lot. Now it's not a super harmful thing to do. It's good when like as I'm starting out, but I want to get away from it more, is I did a lot of like eye-dropping and color picking, where I just grabbed like a color from the actual photo that I'm referencing. And I want to do that a little less, because I want to learn how to choose the colors myself, just from like seeing them. Now the reason like it's not super harmful to start by like picking colors is I always try to make sure that I'm like looking at the color wheel to see where the actual color falls, because it, you know, sometimes I'll think I'm picking a gray, but I'm actually picking like a really dark brown or something. So it's really good to kind of check out, okay, where does this hue actually fall, etc., and kind of like learn that way, instead of diving right into like trying to figure it out and doing like more trial and error. Though I guess if you're doing that, like that's still a good way to learn it. I don't know the proper way, so guesswork. But I do want to push myself more and more to kind of be able to see what the colors are just by looking at them. It's so difficult too, because like color looks different when it's surrounded by other colors. Like it's all very relative. And it throws everything off. So I think I'm looking at like a really red orange, and then it turns out it's a really like yellow orange or something. Like painters, how do you do it? Tell me, show me your secrets. I also know that I like, because I do a lot of line work, because I do kind of like really anime inspired stuff, I do comic stuff, so I rely very heavily on line work. So yeah, it's very different going into, you know, just working with shapes and texture. Texture is definitely something I'm lacking in my work. Like, I really need to push myself to, like, texture things and study textures, because they can make a huge difference, especially when painting. But you can also get some, like, gorgeous textures with just line work. Like, I love when I find, like, a comic or an illustration that has, like, this gorgeous, like, cross-hatching or texture or whatever, especially when it's, like, a black and white image. It's my jam. So I really want to push myself to, like, work harder on that and figure that out for myself. So yeah, there's lots of stuff that I struggle with in this, like textures one, getting the light and dark correct. I think my problem was like I started going detailed way too fast, but I was basically like, what I think I should be doing is like I should be blocking in kind of like all the highlights and shadows and midtones, and then from there, fixing up the colors and then making sure that I keep those tones. Because I don't want to, because otherwise things like the lighting looks weird, or like it looks misshapen or really flat, because I don't have those like shadows and highlights to make it look like it actually has form. So yeah, so I know in the future that's what I need to start with, is just blocking in like the form, and then from there I can start like adding in detail and choosing the right color. Oh, it's so hard. There's so much stuff to remember when you go into a painting, whereas like with line work, I like know what I want to do already because I've practiced it so much. But yeah, and I'm of course also struggling with like learning how to draw animals, because I'm also pretty new to that. But I really need to study animals and how they look, because I'm doing an anthro comic where you have to know how to draw the animals so that you can anthropomorphize them. So yeah. So I want to do that more with this Let's Draw series, is just drawing more cute animals, learning how to paint them, and in general study more. In the past I didn't study as much as I should have. I did a lot of like just focusing on my comics, instead of taking time to like, I guess, freshen my skills up, or like sharpen my tools or whatever. I don't know, what's a good metaphor? So this has definitely been a good opportunity to like actually sit down and study and use that part of my brain that like learns stuff. Because that's something I definitely don't want to do as an artist. I don't want to stagnate. I don't want to get comfortable and never try anything new, or I guess kind of like pigeonhole myself with only say like one style, or only being able to draw one thing a certain way. Like I want to be able to do things like very diversely, and have like a really wide skill set. Partly because like I'm interested in everything, and like I find it really discouraging when I look at something and I'm like, oh my god, this looks so hard. Like I'm never gonna do this in a million years. So like I really like breaking down that barrier for myself, where I sit down and I'm like, okay, I won't be able to get to like, I'm not going to be a master painter the first time I sit down and try to paint a raccoon, but I want to get there. I want to learn what the cool people are doing and do it and try it. So yeah. I like breaking down that barrier of self-doubt and forcing myself to like do the thing and work really hard, and yeah. But it is also nice having these Let's Draws, because like I don't have to spend my entire time feeling that way and like, I don't want to say pushing myself, but like stepping out of my comfort zone all the time, because that can get so exhausting. When you're learning everything new, it can feel super discouraging and really like draining. So it's nice to like, I'm basically taking like an hour to half an hour every week to just sit down and study, which I'll be real, I should be doing more studying than that, but it's a good starting point. It's a good way to kind of ease myself into it and get more excited about it and used to it before, you know, without burning out, I guess. Because I do a lot, so I don't want to burn myself out. What else do I have to say about this painting? So I guess I kind of talked about like what I struggled with and what I've learned. A lot of what I've learned is what I'm struggling with. It was interesting to paint a raccoon, because in the past I've been doing lots of drawings of them, and like figuring out their shape through line. But it is interesting to sit down and actually like paint them and give them volume, because it gives some underlying structure to things that I've already kind of like glanced at, I guess. And like raccoons have the cutest little faces, so it's really nice to paint them. Another thing I'm learning is just like, and this has always kind of bugged me about painting. I guess it doesn't bug me. It's just been like a concept that's like kind of out of my grasp right now, is just the different like tonal shifts and color shifts throughout like a single surface. So for example, like this raccoon, it's got like red and gray in its fur, and there's like a gradient from like one thing to the other, and like the gray and the brown mix, and like I'm like, I can't figure it out yet. And I know it's the same thing with like basically everything. Like if you look at say like a person's skin tone, like they have reds and pinks and yellows and oranges and browns and blues. Like people's skin tones, like, are not the same throughout their entire, like, face or even their hand or something. Like, it shifts all over the place, and it depends on how the light is hitting it, and it depends on, like, the objects around them, and like, yeah, I really want to figure out how to translate those shifts, because I can see them, but, like, I don't feel like I have the skill to, like, make them happen yet, which is frustrating when your brain is, like, further along than, like, your hands. Does that make sense? I know, like, I've heard this concept before, like, when I went to a writing retreat cruise thing with the Writing Excuses podcast, and they talked about that at the end, where they were like, you know, you've learned a whole bunch of things here at this retreat, and, like, everything is gonna feel terrible for a little while, because, like, your brain is still absorbing this information. You probably don't have the skill to, like, execute on it, but you know about it now. So there's gonna be this, like, point where your skill is, like, catching up with your brain, and it's really frustrating and it's really tough, like, but eventually you'll get there. And I think it's better to be at that point than, like, to think you know everything when you don't. I don't know. I guess I like that sense of, like, unease where I don't know all the things. Does that make sense? I don't know. I never want to be in that position where, like, I think everything I'm doing looks amazing and I'm not being critical at all, and then it turns out everything I'm doing does not look so good. Because that's definitely how I felt, like, as a teenager or as a kid, when, like, I'd draw things and I'd be like, this is great, because I didn't have the knowledge to back up, like, that claim. So it turns out a lot of the things I was doing were not good. I just didn't have the knowledge to see that. So it's really great when, like, my brain is so far ahead of my skill level where I can look at something and be like, this needs improvement. I just gotta, like, practice and figure out how to improve it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I definitely feel that with painting this hecking raccoon, because, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I guess the topic for, like, next week of what I want to draw might be, like, a landscape or something, because that's another thing where I'm super, like, my skills are lacking, is, like, I'm new to animals, and I haven't really practiced doing, like, backgrounds. I've talked about that at length before, where, like, backgrounds I'm definitely lacking on. I really want to learn how to, like, draw those and paint those, because, like, nothing adds more to a scene than, like, a gorgeous background. Like, it's great when I'm reading something and I, like, notice how wonderful the background is, because it just adds to, like, the atmosphere of the comic, or, like, it adds personality to the comic. It's just, like, these gorgeous backgrounds, and I want to, like, have that in my comics. Add that to the to-do list of things to learn. Ugh, that list never ends. That's another thing I'd be curious about what other people do, is, like, how do you add texture to fur? Because, like, that's definitely outside of my, like, my grasp right now. I don't get that. What the heck even is fur? So yeah, I think that might be all I have today. I hope today wasn't too rambly and a lot of, like, me complaining about my own skill. But, you know, you gotta be critical of yourself. Not mean, but critical. Do you know? I don't know. I guess that'd be good to clarify. I'm not trying to be nasty to myself. Like, I'm very proud of what I've done so far. I just know that I have a long way to improve, and I'm excited to improve. There we go, Ursula. You did it. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to request a video topic, please leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more stuff about webcomics, or art, or painting, or writing comics, please subscribe, because there's lots more videos about that stuff coming out soon. Oh, and don't forget to check out the Kickstarter, because it ends in early June. And if you want to get the book, you gotta do it now. Yeah. Also, happy Pride Month, everybody. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching once again. Goodbye!